Today's video is me talking about how I transitioned from a non-tech, and by tech I mean a technology company, like software development company. So transitioning from an industry that is completely not related to that into tech. So I used to work in automotive industry, and I did a lot of project management work, and now I transitioned into tech company where I work primarily with software development projects. Hi everyone, welcome to the Corporate Body. My name is Moyo, and on this channel I share several tips relating to personal and professional development goals. Check out my other videos and I hope you find something that's going to be useful in helping you achieve your goals. Let me start by saying that this was a long journey filled with frustrations, tears, and just sometimes confidence dips. So I started this journey sometime in 2020. I wanted to transition into the tech industry, and I was just like, yeah. Honestly, I wasn't actually actively trying to do that, but a company reached out to me. I think it was Verizon. I know Verizon is not exactly a tech company, but that kind of sparked the interest for me. So I interviewed with Verizon. Things didn't pan out, but that kind of made me start thinking of potentially leaving my current role and exploring outside of that. So I didn't really actively pursue opportunities in 2020, but I believe 2021 was when I started pursuing opportunities. I started off with putting open to work on my LinkedIn, re-evaluating my profile on LinkedIn and making sure that I would be searchable. Like when recruiters search for program managers, they would find me. And then I also started looking at skills that I needed to gain to help me land the job within the tech company, understand the tech industry, read about the tech industry, and kind of also know what do I even want to do within the tech industry, what interests me, what excites me. Because one of the things that I one of the reasons why, honestly, my current job at the time was great, was amazing, it was challenging. I was doing a lot of different things, but I just really didn't connect with the products within the automotive industry that I worked in. And I just felt like I wanted something that I could relate with, that I could also feel my impact. Not to say that you can't do that within the automotive industry, but this is personal for me. So I was like, okay, let's see, how can I start to map my path. So of course I had made up my mind I wanted to be a program manager, and that was what I was already doing within my current industry. I just needed to find other ways to connect to the tech industry, like from a technical standpoint. So I started, my LinkedIn was kind of being carved around technical project management or program manager generally, and I identified the different ways that I could add skills to my portfolio. So, I started taking like LinkedIn courses for, software development projects, understanding how software development projects work, understanding the different skills that are needed to run software development projects, interacting with developers and software engineers. And then I was reading blogs and articles, and I think the art of interviewing alone itself was also eye-opening for me. I've probably done over like 30 interviews within the tech industry since I've started, and even though they were exhausting, honestly, by the time I was done with my last interview where I finally landed the job, I was done. Tech industry interviews especially, are very, very rigorous. Like they will take you through like multiple loops, and you have several interviews with several people. But the art of interviewing itself was preparing me for the industry, because the more I talk to people, the more I learn about what a company does, the more I start to like kind of sieve out, okay, oh, these are the different areas possible, and this is what I can potentially, focus on for my own career. So I decided that I started. So through interviewing, I was getting more interest around artificial intelligence, data science, and all of that. And I started getting drawn to companies that were investing heavily in that. So just, I was getting reached out to by recruiters as I was gaining more experience, gaining more knowledge. I took on projects on my own outside of my current job that helps me to kind of practice my project management skills within software development. And I was, adding stuff to my portfolio. I took the PMP, took courses and just different things that made me more better prepared to speak in interviews. And then I also started, interacting with people, connecting with people within that industry. Like I mentioned in my Google interview prep video, if you haven't seen it, there's a group that I joined, the TPM group on Discord, where it consists of thousands of TPMs across the world within the tech industry. And well, not just tech industry, but a lot of them work in the tech industry, and like they share tips, they share experiences. It's honestly a very wholesome group, and it's been very helpful for me and eye-opening for me. I would highly recommend, if you want to go into project management within the tech industry or just generally. I'll drop the link in the description box. So that was helpful for me to start recalibrating my mind as to what it's like working in that environment. What kind of challenges do they face? What kind of problems are they trying to solve? And how can I fit into that? What about my current experience can I leverage within that industry? And where are the gaps that I need to fill? So I was identifying different things, and I interviewed so much that I felt like I was already working within the industry, because I started to know, like, problems they were facing, questions. Like when you're interviewing, make sure that you're also asking questions. Don't just let them ask you questions, because it's a two-way street. Even if you don't get the job, trust me, you are going to take something away from that interview regardless. So ask questions, understand what their challenges are, what problems are they trying to solve, what's worked and what hasn't worked for them, how are they different from their competitors. And so when I'm actually going to interview, I go deep into the company. Like I actually like do research, extra research into the company. I did through their blogs. A lot of these tech companies have tech blogs to read about, their stack, and like the technologies that they use, their tools they use, and stuff like that. So you might be able to find things like that, and you start preparing yourself, opening up yourself to those opportunities more. So interview, I would just advise that interview, 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 keep interviewing. I know it can be a lot. I would advise that you also take breaks, because it can actually burn you out. I got burnt out at a point, especially with me working full time and also going to school on the side. It was a whole lot for me, but I would say, as much as you can, just try to take interviews. Even if they don't work out, you get to learn from them. That was the best way for me to learn what I need to transition into a role within the tech industry, and as a program manager as well. So I think overall, reading on my own, taking random courses on things that I wanted to learn about, just being open to learning was one of the biggest things that helps me to transition to the tech industry. And I was just making sure that I kept my eye on the process, not just the goal. So the process is something that we often leave. We focus so much on the goal that we forget about the process, but the process is what actually you should actually hold on to the most, because you can achieve your goal, but at the end of the day, there's always another goal that you're running after. But if you have the process in place and you're enjoying the process, even if you don't achieve your goal, you're enjoying the process anyway, and you just keep you become someone that's open to learning, open to receiving things. So that's basically how I dealt with it. And let me just talk about the ugly parts, guys. It was rough. I got rejected so many times. I started to doubt myself. I was just like, am I even cut out for this? Is this something that would ever work out for me? Um, you're going to get to that point, especially if you're coming from a completely different industry. I just want to encourage you that it's a numbers game, first of all. Interviewing is not always about, you know, you being the most qualified person, to be honest. A huge portion of it is luck. Because these interviews, the way they're set up, sometimes I feel like it even misses out on the qualified people. So understand what you're looking for, understand how you can fit your current experience into what you're looking for, and the gaps that you have. Make sure you know your gaps before going into the interview. So even if they bring it up, you have a backup, you have a backup for it. So don't get um, defeated and discouraged, because I know it can feel that way for someone that has been rejected probably like 30 something times. um, I I go back, I pull back for a bit when I get rejections, and I try to identify what I could have done better. Sometimes there isn't anything, to be honest. I'm going to share about that in future videos. Sometimes there isn't anything, it was just not your time, which honestly is fine. um but try to identify that, and try to don't burn bridges with interviews. When you meet people, it might just not be the right time for you to join, but it might come back around later, and I will share an example of that too in the future. So make sure that you're staying connected and just being grateful overall. I pull back from rejection, and then I just recalibrate again and get back up and say, okay, time to jump back in. So yeah, if you have any specific questions about transitioning into the tech industry, feel free to reach out to me at the Corporate Body on Instagram. And thank you for listening. Hopefully this has been helpful for you. And don't forget to subscribe. Please, please, please subscribe to get more of these videos. Bye.